and Jim Wills. And Coach, you went into that game going up against the second place team in your division, and you beat them. was it kind of well, an upset after the season's been going up and down for you guys, but you're really on an upswing.
I think everything kind of came together there. We've been talking a couple of months about everything in the system. It's just a matter of confidence. It was a real good win for the program. Kids played very hard and very well. Very impressive.
Jim, what was the feeling going into the game? You guys were up?
Yeah, I was really up. I wanted to win.
What did you think you could beat the guys? I mean, on paper they're pretty big.
So what?
That's the attitude you need. Jeff, what did you think? You were going up against some good guards that they had.
Yeah, well, when we were going into the game, it was our last game of the season, and the seniors were starting, so that got a lot of people up.
Yeah, I thought that was a good move on your part, kind of to give the seniors the spotlight at the end of the season.
Something I've always done. I think if they stick with you throughout the year, they deserve to start, and I don't think 5 or 6 minutes at the beginning of a ball game is going to make that much difference, provided they could stay within about 5 points. I told them if it got under 5, they were out. So.
And you were ahead. I mean, you
were
were
winning most of the quarters, so I moved in the underclassmen slowly.
Well, well, quickly, once before, I know everybody is eager to find out where you're going to be and who you're playing for the regional. Where's the game going to be?
It's at Niles North. It's Tuesday at 6:30. We play the first game, and we play Evanston. So it should be very interesting. We're looking forward to it.
Okay, so that's definitely going to be a great game to watch, and it's going to be the way the team did against Waukegan, as we're going to see right now in the first quarter. You might want to stick around and watch that game over at Niles North, and both schools will be there. Now, you started off as kind of here's a guy who had transferred and had played well, and you kind of were really surprised at the beginning of the game. You guys were up, I think, about 4 or 6 to nothing against Waukegan, and they were cold and making terrible passes.
Right. The play before that, Jim Chadwick scored. He hadn't played basketball since his freshman year. He transferred in, so it was really nice to see him get a little playing time.
And he had definitely. What were you going to? You see number 43. That's Tompkins. He was running down court. He is just huge. He's a big kid. How do you go in stopping a guy? I know, Jim, you probably had to bump up against him a few times. What were you going to do against him? Or how did you play against him?
Zone, basically. But when we play man, we try to double up on him. If he gets inside, take care of him.
Now here they are. You would, like I said, you came out in the press. Why did you do that also?
I like to pressing teams. I think that helps. There's a nice dunk there. He's a man among boys, believe me. He's a big physical specimen. But I like to press the pressing team. I think that's always a good policy. And we like to run a little bit. And in order to move our transitional game, we need to get the game upbeat. And we wanted to get them going up and down the floor a little bit.
You took them out of their game, too. I think that was the thing I noticed the most, because they, from watching them last year, they really did not play the same game that they had played last year.
I thought the players did a real nice job of keeping a lid on the tempo. They did not allow them to get going. We did some nice trapping at half court and just kept them a little off balance. I think if they would have ever gotten their rhythm, it would have been lights out. But they never did all night, and we out-rebounded them. Probably was the key thing in the ballgame.
The referee let you get away with a few calls there. Right?
Very physical game. I like it called that way. I enjoyed it.
And Benny Guy kind of passed the ball to himself and went over and picked it up, and that wasn't a call.
You can do that. You just can't dribble. That's an air dribble. You get one of them.
You get one a game. And that was Tom Merkel. You guys really were playing an outstanding game. I mean, everybody in the whole stands, the crowd, you guys had a big
we had
crowd.
A full house, yeah.
Wasn't that great? It must have made you guys feel great.
I felt real good.
You're a junior, right?
Yeah.
So you came in after the seniors had played a little. As you saw at the end of the first quarter, you're up 11-10. You played your seniors for about 5 minutes. You're in the ball game. You're doing better than you expected. And what do you do going into that second quarter? You kind of try to say, hey, keep it going, whatever we're doing.
Want to be responsible for screwing it up and putting in your starting team and losing the lead. We pray a little bit on the bench.
Well, let's take a look at the second quarter, because the second quarter the whole game was exciting, and I have to admit that Jerry Turry certainly livened up the game. He had some fun color commentary. the guards of Waukegan were really quick on defense, Jeff. How did you, when you were bringing the ball up, was coach telling you to penetrate or stay outside?
Well, sometimes when they trapped, I would try to split through the trap, or we have a play called 1-4 where the Tom Merkel and the small forward break out to the sides, and so I look for them there.
Were you trying to get the ball inside? I noticed that several times you were looking for Cernick and people like that.
Yeah.
We're pretty much inside oriented. I think that was a beautiful play here.
Great
Jeff
play
stole
with
the ball.
Jeff.
It was a 3-on-1. That's hard to do. Big basket coming back. It does a 4-point turnaround. I think Jim Wills primarily was the best outside shooter for our forward position. We're usually hurting from the floor from the big fellas most of the way. And Jim, I think, hit 6 out of 7. Some of those from outside a little bit.
I noticed there at that point, Benny Guy had, and you, Jeff, you were penetrating, and you weren't afraid of the big guys. You just took it right in there.
Yeah, well, I knew if they block it, it would most likely get called a foul anyways. And I like to drive in for layups.
I was really impressed because you were just, you were going into the trees and saying, what the heck, I'm going to take it in here. And there's Jim. You were doing just as well. Jim, how were the Bulldogs defensing? Were they playing you tough or tight? I know the coach
On
said
weak side, I was very open. They played like a zone, and I was able to flash and get the ball, a couple of times, wide open. And on that last play, I faded a little, and I got lucky. I put a little fake on, but a little bit more on Tompkins would have blocked that one.
I mentioned Benny Guy had, I was starting to say, Benny had, I don't know, something on his thumb. Did he jam his thumb or somewhere along the line?
I wasn't aware of it. Maybe the trainer and Benny had something going.
Was his hand taped before the game?
Not to my knowledge.
Because I looked up and all of a sudden his thumb was taped, and I always thought, because at that point he started having trouble dribbling and he had made a few turnovers.
Was that it? Oh my God, he should have taken the tape off. Wish someone had told me that. I didn't notice.
Well, we should have. Yeah, we should have. We should have had the. I know Jerry had mentioned it a few times on the Sport of the Week, so you might want to check that out because I know Jerry was doing his own analysis of.
Must have been a poor tape job.
Well, blame it on Brian Katzman. He didn't do it just right. Well, let's move on to the third quarter. At halftime, what did you say to your guys at halftime in the locker room?
I don't remember. Maybe they do.
You guys remember what the coach said?
Yeah.
Well, when we went in at halftime, everybody in the crowd started standing up and clapping, and they were real pleased with our effort, and I think that got us really going.
Well, I remember that. I mean, it was like the whole place. I mean, I've not seen a game in quite a while where the crowd has really been into it that much.
I think it was the last home game. They wanted to have some fun, see the game.
Yeah,
So-
it was the first time that it happened that there was a lot of people there, and they were all clapping for us.
So there was no strategy at halftime?
I don't remember. Probably really intricate
Yeah,
strategy.
you were calm. You just talked to us and
Didn't yell and scream very
no,
much.
not this time.
No reason to. You were up. Yeah.
One thing we hasn't mentioned is we played East up there, and we lost by, 36 or 37. So
Yeah.
that's a big margin to overcome.
I'd say so. They say home court's about 10 or 12 points, but you seem to make up a lot more. That's great. Okay, let's move on to the third quarter and let's see how the Indians did again. The third quarter was just as successful. You really held Waukegan to, I think it was only about 5 points.
Right. Jim keeps doing a nice job of flashing in behind the zone. He just hit one from one side and got the ball on the other side of it. So I think that was really the key. We were able to get the ball to the weak side against the zone, and Jim did a real nice job of converting him.
Nice block there by Tom Kent. He had 2 blocks that were just thunderous. The crowd was really into it every time he blocked a shot.
I think that hurt their confidence also.
I remember I heard one of the guys, and you took it to him as you saw Greg Cernick do that. And again, good defense, but you stepped, I believe he was fouled there. It just seemed like you've just played a really good all-around ball game.
Jump pass.
Again, the referee seemed to let a bit go.
That's good. We have no complaints about that. I hate those chicken calls. Let them knock each other down a little bit.
And especially, well, I'm sure that's the way Tompkins would love the game to be played because he's a physical, big physical kid. He's only a junior, right?
Yes, he looks like he escaped from an NFL training film.
He's got another year. Going And again, we'll mention that going into this game, you had only won, what, 2 games?
2 games, right? One in the
So-
conference.
So this really is a big boost going into the regional with 1 game under your belt and kind of riding the wave.
It is, but it's more than that. I told the kids before the ball game that I think it was a measure of where we are. I think Waukegan East was the most talented team individually in the conference. I think Deerfield's winning the conference, but I think Waukegan East has the best talent in our conference. And I thought we could measure ourselves against what we did earlier in the year and how much we improved. And I think the final outcome speaks for itself.
And at the end of again, there's Tompkins. Well, he'll take a shot anywhere. You were up by 2 after 3. Still surprised, or were you just continuing to play? I noticed you pulled out of your zone press.
When they were hurting it, they were a little too quick to do that. That upset me a little bit because we're going to play another quick team tomorrow night, so we're bothered a little bit by their foot speed. But I'm not surprised. I mean, you can ask the players before the game, Thursday before Friday game, I said, I'm not too worried about winning this one. It's the one after that. I don't want you to be too high. I mean, I just had a good feeling about it. They played real hard all week, and it seemed like they understood exactly what was necessary to win, and they went out and did it.
Is that the way you guys have been really, toward the end of the season, you've been really kind of getting your confidence and playing well together?
There was a game a few games ago against Maine West we felt we should have won, but we didn't, and not many people thought we could beat Waukegan East. And then as the game went on, it was still close. And when it came down to the end, we converted when it counted.
Put away. You had some good free throws down the end. We'll see some of those. And Jim, you know, just as everyone else, have been in those games where you've been in the game up until about 3.5 quarters, and it's that last 5 minutes or so that the team seemed to fall
Second
apart.
win, you got to pull it through and try your best.
Were you talking to each other toward the end and kind of saying, listen, we're going to do it this time?
Oh, yeah. Everybody, you know, like in the start of the 3rd quarter, you know, where you get tough, you know, and we were fooling around a little bit too, you know, joking around, but we wanted to win it. We knew we had it. I knew I had it in the 3rd quarter.
You were confident. That's great, because I think that at that point, I mean, you're only up by 2 going into the 4th quarter, as we'll see right now going into the 4th quarter. But I mean, I was just really impressed from when I saw you guys 2 weeks earlier, and when I saw you now, it seemed like you had the knockout punch, and I think that's what made the difference.
They made a big play at the right time.
And as we'll see, you totally shut down the big center for Waukegan.
Angelos, 55, right. He had a bad day. I think he has a knee problem. He's been out a couple weeks. Well, we won't hold that against him.
Were you finding, Jeff, were you finding shots that you weren't finding earlier? Because I know that you were getting some open layups and as well as passes, and you'll drive the lane here, but it was physical. It was just a real physical game.
I can't believe I missed that one. That's the most frustrating thing, is when you miss an open layup.
But were the shots there? I mean, were they just starting to fall for you finally? I mean, everybody was finally saying, yeah.
Well, usually I'm not looking that much for outside shots. I usually don't take that many, but when they're there, I'll shoot them.
Now, Jim, you were right there breaking this press. They were really ferocious toward the end, just all over everybody. Were you guys just content with taking your time, bringing it up, and doing what you've been doing the whole game?
Yeah, you get worried once in a while, you know, when you got quick guys like that and steal the pass from you and stuff. But you want to get tough and grab it and get it down court.
Now, here there was a rare miss in toward the end. Jeff, you had, I think, 4 free throws in the 4th quarter, really iced the game. Were you not afraid for them to take you to the line? So you go ahead and foul me.
Oh yeah, well, one time towards the end of the game, I drove in and they fouled me on the shot, and then they called a timeout. But if you just don't think about it and
That's right.
just shoot them like in practice, make it, and you get to go get a drink.
Tom Ken had another good game. Is it you're looking for him? You've got a great nucleus coming back next year.
You know, we don't want to talk about next year. We got a couple more W's we'd like to put on the board this year, but he's playing very well. He had a badly sprained ankle, and he's probably, I'd say, somewhere between 75 and 80%. We're hoping it's going to be a little bit better for Evanston, but he's playing really well. He's come on strong, as Jim and Jeff has.
And we just saw Jim put in a nice you were just getting those shots all day. I mean,
Nice passing, yeah.
exactly.
Nice assist.
1 or 2 passes and you were there. And once again, Ken with a great block.
Yeah, that was. See, that's the pass right there I was talking
There it
about.
is.
You got it up there, nice.
Power move, Jim. I've forgotten about that. I do remember it now.
If he would have turned around, he would have stolen it, but he was just looking the other way and it went right past his
Nice
head.
hustle.
And I think the big thing is we really played hard. And if you notice, our passing is so much better. And I think that comes with confidence.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were really getting the ball inside, and as well as finding the open man. You were open several times.
Yeah.
Just wide open. And like you said, the zone they were playing was.
Yeah, the weak side
Not
was
good.
clearly open.
And here we're getting down toward the end of the game, and you just the ball was everything was fast and furious. And after they missed a few shots, and you came down, and boy, as you can see, the crowd was just getting into it. And Wright had I think 14, 12 points in the fourth quarter alone.
Yes,
What can you do to stop him?
He was a little bit of quickness, and we weren't really concentrating on anybody in particular, except maybe Tompkins. I think the big thing is we had to hit some clutch free throws, and it's contagious. Jeff went down and hit 4 in a row, and I think everybody else came up and hit the front end at least, the bonus.
On that drive there, that was towards the end of the game, and if he would have made it, they would have like tied the game or something. And I was just trying to make sure that he didn't make it, because Coach always tells us, if you're going to foul him, make sure you get the ball. So he
But I
doesn't
tell
get
you, never hurt him now.
Take his head off.
Well, that was, and you just, I mean, you came right back down, and you seemed to be really confident. You really had your, I mean, you were just playing like there was no tomorrow. You came down, you dribbled the whole way, and put the ball in, got fouled, and here you are again, picking up a loose ball.
You know, a lot of times, like at summer camp, I've choked a lot, like missing free throws with 1 second left. And I hate that feeling, so I always try to put them in when it counts.
As you see the fans around their feet, Benny put the ball just was bouncing your way.
I was going to put that one
I
up.
know. The substitute was at the scorer's table.
Yeah, I was going to say, Coach, you sub a lot. Is that in your normal theory, is to get as many people in the game as possible?
I think, Brian, you can play 7 people comfortably, and when you get to 8, then you got a lot of unhappy people. But in a program that is beginning to take off and we're trying to build, I think I have to work towards 10. Normally, I like a rotation of 8.
Now, who do you lose senior-wise? Who do you lose after this year?
Tom.
As you see,
The guy jumping up and down, Tom Merkel and Rob Atchitall and Jim Chadwick, and who's the 4th?
Cerny.
Scott Steiner.
Scott Steiner.
So actually, well, out of the first 10 we lose probably 3.
So you're in good shape. You're in good shape. Well, that's great. And any final words going into the regional? You've got Evanston, and then after that you've got either Niles North or Deerfield.
Main East.
Main East.
Okay. So you've got a good chance to win your regional.
I don't think that Evanston is much better than Waukegan East. You know, it's going to be geared on our ability to come in and keep our head. They'll probably come after us real strong, physical talent, and we just have to play smart like we did last week.
Well, the best of luck to all of you, and thanks for being here today. Now let's take a look, and we're going to visit on our profile section with Dr. Donald Ring. He is the principal